Ukraine's drones took out Russia's S-400 defense system worth $500 million. Then, this happened.
September 14, 2025, 2:40 a.m., deep inside Russian territory 300 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. In the darkness, a $500 million S-400 air defense system sits operational, scanning the skies. Its radar screens glow softly in the night. The crew inside feels safe. After all, this is one of the most advanced air defense systems in the world. But in exactly 14 minutes, everything will change. A swarm of Ukrainian drones is closing in. The question is, can the world's best air defense system defend itself? Let's talk about why this matters. The S-400 isn't just another weapon. Russia calls it the Triumf, their pride and joy. Each system costs around $500 million. It can track 300 targets at once and shoot down anything within 400 kilometers. Planes, missiles, drones, nothing should get through. Russia has positioned these systems all across occupied territories and inside Russia itself. They're supposed to create an invisible shield, a fortress in the sky. For Ukraine, these S-400 systems are a nightmare. They stop Ukrainian jets from flying. They shoot down missiles. They make it almost impossible to strike deep into Russian territory. Every time Ukraine tries to hit a military target, the S-400 is there, watching, waiting. It's like trying to break into a house when the security system can see you coming from miles away. But here's what makes this interesting. Ukraine doesn't have fancy fighter jets or expensive missiles. Their air force is small. Their long-range weapons are limited. The West has given them support, but not enough to match Russia's arsenal. So Ukraine had to get creative, really creative. They started building their own drones. Simple, cheap, effective. While Russia spent $500 million on one S-400 system, Ukraine could build hundreds of drones for a fraction of that cost. The mathematics were brutal but simple. Russia had the expensive hardware. Ukraine had the numbers and the desperation, and desperate people come up with dangerous ideas. For months, Ukrainian engineers worked in secret facilities. They modified commercial drones, they attached explosives, they extended flight ranges, they tested navigation systems. The goal was clear: find a way to hit targets deep inside Russia, targets that everyone said were impossible to reach, targets like the S-400. Intelligence played a massive role here. Ukrainian operatives, local resistance groups, and satellite data all came together. They mapped out where Russia positioned its S-400 systems. These weren't random locations. Russia placed them strategically, protecting military bases, ammunition depots, and command centers. Each S-400 was surrounded by other defenses, layers upon layers of protection. The Ukrainians studied the patterns. When do the crews change shifts? When are the systems most vulnerable? How can you approach without being detected? These weren't questions with easy answers. The S-400's radar can spot a tennis ball from 400 kilometers away. How do you hide from that? The answer came from an unexpected place: quantity over quality. Don't send one expensive missile. Send dozens of cheap drones, overwhelm the system, make it choose which threats to engage, create confusion. It's like fighting someone with a sword when you have 1,000 needles. Sure, the sword is powerful, but can it block every needle at once? Ukrainian planners developed a new tactic. They called it swarming. Launch multiple drones from different directions, different altitudes, different speeds. Some drones would be decoys designed to look threatening but carrying no payload. Others would be the real attack units. The S-400's radar operators would see dozens of targets approaching. Which ones are real, which ones are decoys? In the seconds it takes to decide, the real attackers slip through. But there was still a problem: range. Most Ukrainian drones couldn't fly 300 kilometers. The batteries wouldn't last, the navigation would fail, so engineers made modifications. They stripped away everything unnecessary: no cameras, no fancy electronics, just fuel, explosives, and a basic GPS system. They made the drones lighter. They added extra fuel capacity. They tested them dozens of times. Some tests failed spectacularly. Drones crashed. Navigation went haywire. Explosives didn't detonate, but slowly, bit by bit, they improved. By September 2025, Ukraine had drones that could fly 400 kilometers, silent, small, deadly. Now came the hard part: choosing the target. Intelligence reports showed several S-400 systems within range. But which one? The military commanders debated for days. They needed a target that would send a message: show Russia that nowhere is safe, show the world that Ukraine could strike back. They settled on an S-400 system positioned near a strategic airbase. It was protecting Russian bombers, the same bombers that had been striking Ukrainian cities. The date was set: September 14th. The time, 3 a.m., when human alertness is at its lowest. The plan: launch 48 drones in waves. The first wave would be decoys, 20 drones with no explosives, just noise and heat signatures. They would trigger the S-400's radar and force the crew to engage. The second wave, 28 drones with actual warheads, would follow minutes later, approaching from different angles. On the night of September 13th, Ukrainian operators prepared the drones. Each one was checked 3 times, GPS coordinates programmed, fuel tanks filled. The launch sites were spread across multiple locations. If Russia detected one launch site, they couldn't stop all the others. At 2:23 a.m., the first drones lifted off. Silent shadows against the night sky. They flew low, hugging the terrain to avoid radar detection for as long as possible. The operators watched nervously. Would the navigation hold? Would the drones make it? The Russian S-400 crew had no idea what was coming. Their radar screens showed normal readings. A quiet night. Some of them were drinking tea, others were half asleep. The system's radar was operational, but human vigilance was low. It's hard to stay alert when nothing happens night after night. At 2:40 a.m., the Russian radar operator saw something. Blips on the screen, multiple contacts coming from the west. He straightened up, rubbed his eyes, the blips were still there. He alerted his commander. Within seconds, the S-400 system roared to life. Radar locked on, missiles prepared. The crew scrambled. 20 contacts, all heading toward them. The commander's mind raced. What is this? Ukrainian drones? How did they get this far? He ordered engagement. The S-400's missiles streaked into the sky. Explosions lit up the darkness. The Russian crew watched as their missiles found targets. 17 hits. 18, 19, they were shooting down the threats. But something felt wrong. The commander looked at his screen. The drones were too easy to hit, almost like they wanted to be detected. And then his blood ran cold. A second wave, 28 new contacts, different directions, lower altitude. These weren't decoys. The S-400 had already fired most of its ready missiles at the first wave. Reloading would take minutes they didn't have. The crew watched helplessly as the second wave of drones closed in. The system tried to engage, but there were too many targets. It could track them all, but it couldn't shoot them all down fast enough. The first real attack drone hit at 3:01 a.m. It slammed into the S-400's radar array. The explosion wasn't massive, just 40 kilograms of explosives, but it struck precisely where it hurt most. The radar screen went dark. The crew shouted orders, trying to switch to backup systems, but more drones were incoming. 2 more hit within seconds. One struck the missile launcher. Another hit the command vehicle. The explosions tore through the sensitive electronics. Flames erupted. Crew members ran for cover. The sophisticated $500 million system was being torn apart by drones that cost maybe $50,000 each. Within 6 minutes, it was over. The S-400 system was destroyed, not damaged, destroyed. 12 drones had hit their marks. The others were shot down or crashed due to damage, but 12 was enough. The radar was gone. The launchers were burning. The command systems were offline. The aftermath was immediate and brutal. Russian commanders tried to spin the story. They claimed they shot down all the drones, but satellite images didn't lie. The S-400 position was a smoking crater. Ukrainian intelligence released drone footage. The world saw what happened. Russia's invincible air defense had been taken out by improvised drones. But here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just about destroying one system. It was about changing the game. For months, Russia had felt safe. Their S-400 systems created zones where Ukraine couldn't operate. Those zones just got smaller, much smaller. Within days, Russia began moving its S-400 systems. They pulled them back deeper into Russian territory. This created gaps that Ukrainian drones and missiles could exploit. Suddenly, targets that were protected became vulnerable. Russian air bases had to operate under new rules. Ammunition depots had to be moved. The psychological impact was massive. The Russian military had to face an uncomfortable truth. Expensive, sophisticated systems can be defeated by cheap, creative tactics. It's not about matching your enemy's technology, it's about finding their weaknesses. The S-400 could shoot down almost anything, but it couldn't shoot down everything at once. That was the weakness. Ukraine didn't stop there. Over the following weeks, they refined their tactics. More S-400 systems were hit. Each attack taught them something new: how to approach better, which angles work best, how to coordinate the swarms more effectively. By October, Russia had lost 4 S-400 systems to similar attacks. That's $2 billion worth of equipment destroyed by drones costing less than $10 million combined. The military analysts couldn't believe it. This wasn't supposed to be possible. Air defense systems are designed to stop aerial attacks. That's literally their job, but Ukraine had found a way. They proved that determination and creativity can overcome raw technological superiority. For Russia, the losses were more than financial. Each destroyed S-400 meant less protection for their forces. It meant Ukrainian drones could reach deeper. It meant Russian pilots had to be more careful. The balance of power was shifting, even if just slightly. The global military community took notice. Countries started reevaluating their air defense strategies. If the S-400 could be beaten, what about other systems? What about their own defenses? The lessons from Ukraine spread quickly. Drone swarm tactics became a hot topic. Military academies added new courses. Defense contractors started developing counter-swarm technologies. But the biggest impact was psychological. Ukraine proved they could strike back. They showed Russia that no target is truly safe. They demonstrated that even a smaller, outgunned military can find ways to hurt a larger opponent. It's not about the size of your army, it's about how you use it. The destroyed S-400 near that airbase became a symbol of Ukrainian resilience, a symbol of Russian vulnerability, a symbol that this war wasn't going the way Russia expected. Every smoking crater where an S-400 once stood was a reminder: underestimate Ukraine at your peril. Today, those tactics continue to evolve. Ukraine keeps innovating, Russia keeps adapting. It's a constant chess match. But that September night changed something fundamental. It showed the world that modern warfare isn't just about who has the best weapons. It's about who can think differently, who can adapt faster, who can turn weakness into strength. So what does this mean for the future? It means air defense systems need to evolve. It means militaries need to prepare for swarm attacks. It means the age of cheap, mass-produced drones is here. What Ukraine started with modified commercial drones, others will perfect with purpose-built systems. The S-400 was the canary in the coal mine, a warning that the rules of warfare are changing. The lesson is clear: in war, creativity beats complexity. Numbers can defeat technology. The determined can overcome the powerful. That September night, 300 kilometers inside Russian territory, Ukraine proved all of this. One destroyed S-400 system, one massive message. What would you have done differently? If you were planning this attack, what tactics would you use? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you want more incredible military stories like this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. The next story might be even more unbelievable. Thanks for watching.